The weekend begins Friday afternoon with a taxicab ride to the Iwo Jima Memorial. The cab driver and I share small talk. As we approach the U.S. Marine Memorial, I'm taken by its size, and yet it is located in an area of apartment buildings and condominiums. In the background, a bell rings and it's 4 o'clock. A fellow veteran pauses and asks if I'm okay. He can tell how emotional this is for me, that I'm overwhelmed. I tell him this is kicking my ass, and I thank him for caring. I gather my composure and turn the camera back to the three soldiers. They stand looking toward the wall. Without hesitation, I swing and pan the camera, searching for the Vietnam Women's Memorial, only to catch a quick look and to return to the three soldiers. Both these sculptures were added years later after the dedication in 1982. A Navy captain with two sea cadets takes their picture. I ask if I can record them. They're not aware that I'm recording a movie clip, and here's their reaction. Our laughter breaks the nervousness and tension. I feel relieved for a moment. Now my attention returns to the rush hour traffic, and I wonder if the drivers are thinking about the activity at the memorial, or are they only concerned with getting home? The rain continues. A veteran and I talked briefly, only to discover we were both in the Central Highlands. As sunset approached. Some visitors were still searching for a name or one final look before night sets in.
Refugio Canales, Ralph R. Carpenter Jr., Eugene Thomas Daly Jr., James Edgar Duncan Jr., Brian Lee Wilson, Elton Gene Anderson, Thomas U. Baker, Douglas
While I attempted to record the U.S. Marine Cadet Color Guard play taps,
Derek Henderson.
I met a former helicopter pilot. We started talking. However, once taps began, we stopped our conversation and said our goodbyes. Just kicking my ass for it.
It is?
Oh yeah, it's my first time here.
Okay, it's my fourth time here, so yeah. I tell you, it is tough on you. Were you a non?
I was perimeter guard at Pleiku airbase, June 1970.
I was a pilot in Camp Holloway.
Oh really?
1967, 68.
Oh really? Yeah. I got over the Holloway one time. It was on some little detail thing, but
Yeah.
no, I shipped up from Cambodian Bay to Pleiku about a month and a half before the Cambodian invasion, and
Yeah.
that was interesting. Now, are you with the 119?
119.
Oh, is that right? Oh, great. The bikinis or the Pink Panthers?
The Crocs and the Gators.
I'm sorry. I've read about the Crocs. I really am.
The Crocs and the Gators were what we call the premier unit over there because everybody tried to emulate us.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You did one tour, I hope, with an elf and get the hell out.
I did one tour and volunteered to go back.
Yeah.
But when I volunteered to go back, I'd already been instructing as an instructor pilot down at Fort Rucker for like 9 months. And my reputation as an instructor had grown because my students always did so well.
Great.
They got no student that I had got lower than an 84. And that was noted, and I was flying 3 students at a time when I first volunteered to go back.
Saturday morning, veterans in small groups wait for the Washington Metro train ride from the National City Station to the L'Enfant District. I capture veterans, wives, and others boarding the Metro, as the locals refer to their train service. The air is filled with excitement as we board, nervously with anticipation. Though the train ride is only a few minutes long, we emerge from our station and walk towards the parade assembly area where the opening ceremony will be held for the Veterans Day Parade.
Get back in your lines. Stay in your lines.
Guys, stay in your lines, please.
Move that way. We still need a scrunch.
Crunch over to your right. Over to your right.
Stay in your lines. Right.
Wow, girls, you're on TV. This is going to be on YouTube.
Awesome. Yay.
Thanks for doing this. Well, at least you saw it.
Don't run into the camera, Spencer.
Thanks.
The second group, yeah.
Nobody can talk to me.
I noticed our former allies, South Vietnamese soldiers posing as their relatives or friends, snap pictures of the men smiling. So much is going on, for a moment I pause and think, how picturesque and thoughtful of using the U.S. Capitol building as today's background. Few visitors have decided to sit waiting for the opening ceremony to begin. Moments later, a cameraman from the Washington Post and I talk about this undertaking. He encourages me about asking the Vietnam Veterans of America for a media pass. I ask him to watch my equipment. I am now overwhelmed with this opportunity and speak with a volunteer. Her name is Marilyn. I tell her about my freelance project, give her my business card, a flyer, and present her my membership badge from the Air Force Vietnam Security Police Association. She tells me to register. I don't know what to think. This is more than I expected. I thank her and hurry back to my camera. The Washington Post guy nods an okay. At this moment, all my reasons for traveling here make sense. To record what happens this weekend. My fears are disappearing. Elation is what I feel, and my purpose is clear. So I'm
Self-focusing. So I mean, it's not automatic.
It automatic focuses.
No, it's you're gonna have to do something. But if you get something to get it somewhere.
This one right?
Yep, that's it. Outstanding. Thank you very much, sir.
All right.
There you go. Mark Arguello, Pleiku airbase.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ranger.
I'm putting a little video together, so all my contact information's on there.
All righty. Not a problem. Keep that in mind.
I got you on here too, by the way. So do contact me and I'll send you. Hear the patriotic music in the background? This time the music has new meaning. High school bands will march and play for those to hear. I talked briefly with a fellow veteran as the camera is pointed to the stage. Let's hear what others have to say.
I was on the 6 SOS. Got deactivated in November of '69.
Oh, really?
We all went to Thailand.
So they sent you to NKP then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had 3 squads A1s over there. The hell with this? I went back for another year. Went to Phan Rang and Da Nang, Phu-Bai. Back out for Yeah, I should go to the reunion. It's a good time. Yeah. The wrestle.
It is after 10 a.m. and now the announcer for the opening ceremony is starting to call the VIP participants. The introduction of the VIP attendees is completed. And now from this moment, we'll watch and listen as the formal opening begins. Don Busney, Master of Ceremonies, introduces the clergy member who gives the invocation, posting of the colors by the color guard, the national anthem, and Pledge of Allegiance. Due to the number of various speakers, only 3 speeches are presented. The first will be by POW Richard Perricone, then Jan Shrugs, founder of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund.
Mr. Bucher, please join the other dignitaries. Let you know what's going to be.
As the speakers deliver their speeches, one of the most stirring and compassionate is by Paul Bucher,
We're going to be starting the
closing
parade,
remarks.
and you'll be directed exactly how we're going to be lining out. Thank you for being here. I want to introduce you today, Combat Captain, Vietnam, United States Marine Corps, Master of Ceremonies.
Anniversary of the Vietnam Veterans Wall here in Washington, D.C. We want to get you marching and get you warm, so we're going to move this program along as quickly as we can. I'd like now to invite the honored guests to assemble here on your seats. The Reverend Jackson Day. Reverend Richard Perricone, former prisoner of war, 1967 and 1973. Richard. Tony Cordero, co-founder, chairman, Sons and Daughters in Touch. Keith King, president, Vietnam Veterans Assistance Fund. Louis Sulzberger, Grand Exalted Ruler, Benevolent and Protective Order of the Elks. John Rowan, President, Vietnam Veterans of America. Grand Marshal Jan Scruggs, Founder, President, Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. Jan. Diane Carlson Evans, Founder, President, Vietnam Women's Memorial Foundation. Diane. We have Brigadier General Ezo Ware, U.S. Army. Jay Rocourt, Area Field Manager, U-Haul International. We have with us today Mr. Paul Bucher. Mr. Burrell Gunn, Commerce Bank. Barbara Easterling of the Communication Workers of America. Barbara. Secretary Treasurer. Major General J.B. Burns, U.S. Army retired, BAA Systems, General. Kathy Upchurch, President, Gold Star Wives of America. Kathy. Mary Jane Kepi, President, American Gold Star Mothers. Cheryl Johnson, Regional VP, International Brotherhood of Teamsters. Marilyn Park, Director, Legislative American Government Employees. Bob Howard, President, Congressional Medal of Honor Society. Brian Thacker, Medal of Honor recipients, and we mentioned Paul Bucher. and Commissioner of the Mayor's Office on Veterans Affairs, who unfortunately could not make it here today. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would, we will now start the program. All right, ladies, if you would, if you can, please remain standing as we post the colors presented by the U.S. Army Color Guard, the National Capital Region. Color Guard, post the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can, please remain standing as we pledge allegiance by the Veterans Against the Drugs. We pledge allegiance. Well, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please remain standing for the national anthem, United We Sing, performed by the U.S. Naval Academy Band.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets wriggling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there, and the home of our brave.
We can now retire the colors. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If you would, just please remain standing for the invocation by the Reverend Jackson Day. Reverend?
You have sustained us in both war and peace. We gather now to thank you for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial on the occasion of its 25th anniversary. We thank you for the passion that called for its existence, the inspiration that led to its design, and the perseverance in overcoming obstacles that led to the fulfillment of its promise. We thank you for the way healing is at the core of this memorial's purpose. We thank you for the inspiration that led to a memorial that praises neither hero nor ideology, but simply the dedication of ordinary soldiers, sailors, airmen and women, and Marines to their country, to their comrades in arms, and to their sacred honor, that caused those whose names are listed here to pour out the last full measure of their devotion. As you have brought healing to so many who have visited the Vietnam Veterans Memorial during the 25 years of its existence, we ask that you will bring healing to those veterans of the Vietnam War who are still in pain from their wounds, and now to those veterans of more recent conflicts who are traveling the path of wounds and healing that those of us in the Vietnam generation have trod before. As we gather here today, we pray that you may help us not only to remember the past, but to rededicate our lives to the future, so that our gratitude for this memorial may be translated into a passionate commitment to the well-being of all who suffer the wounds of war. Amen.
I'd like now to invite to the podium Mr. Richard Perricone, prisoner of war MIA. Richard.
Thank you. I know it's been 25 years, and I just ask everybody that's here, and please, you know, this is very traumatic for me, you know, it's really, really an honor, that we don't forget all our veterans. I'm sorry. This is really, really something, you know, because a lot of my brothers and sisters are on the wall, and I'm sorry.
No apologies, brother. No apologies.
Okay, here we go. I got it now. Please, let's not forget, and let our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, keep it in their minds that our brothers and sisters on the wall, 58,000 plus, and that we can't forget. And hopefully in 25 years, we're all going to be here again to make 50 and keep it going forever. God bless the USA.
Thank you, John. Is everybody cold enough?
I'm working on it.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is again my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce to you a man without whose dedication, expertise, vision, this would never have happened. My pleasure to introduce to you the Grand Marshal, the founder and president of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund, Mr. Jan Scruggs. Jan.
Thank you for that very stirring introduction. What a pleasure it is to be here today. I'm looking forward to a magnificent parade, being the Grand Marshal of it, as well as an opportunity for each and every one of you to spend some time today at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, where we are having the reading of the names, which has been going on now since Wednesday. We've had over 2,000 volunteers from throughout the United States are taking part in that. And it was very difficult to get it underway, but ultimately the credit for the reading of the names really goes to the groups that donated, and that's the Military Order of the Purple Heart and the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the Disabled American Veterans, and Lockheed and Boeing. The big effort underway now, as we look back 25 years ago, I hired a parade coordinator, and we had a rather huge parade. I think it was the Washington Post reported we had 45 to 50,000 participants in it. It was pretty huge and pretty historic. And but as we look to the future, 5 years from now, there will be another parade, and this parade will be to commemorate the dedication of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Underground Center. Probably some
to present to you a Medal of Honor recipients who will do the closing remarks, Mr. Paul Buca. Paul.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. First of all, to the guys in the back, and the ladies and gentlemen in the back of the room, welcome! Not you, them! I take this off because Bob Howard is the president of the Congressional Medal of Honor Society. He represents all of you. I take this medal off. It's not mine, it belongs to my men. And what I'm going to say today perhaps violates what the society has, that we're not supposed to talk about politics. When Jan Scruggs built that memorial for us, when we threw the parades for us, we took a vow that never again would this nation send young men and women into war without the committing of the nation first, without a commitment for the nation to bear the costs of caring for the warriors when they came home, and for the families of those who did not return. That was our vow, but unfortunately we have not lived up to it. We stand here today with young Americans coming back from a war, suffering from PTSD, a disease, a malady we discovered. A malady that says for every month you serve in combat, you need 3 months out of combat to return to normal. A malady that has an incestuous manifestation of violence in theater, then violence out of theater, and then violence to one at home. And we're starting to see the earmarks of that Vietnam malady. And we hear through the halls of Congress and speeches across this land the word Vietnam being spoken as if it's some night monster that's going to come steal the children, rather than a war fought by young Americans with compassion, with integrity, with dignity, and with grace. We stand here today with behind us the hall that holds the public employees of us, the American stockholders. But where are they today? I don't see any of them standing here shaking hands with you, thanking you for your service.
Right on, right on.
They're too busy.
You bet.
We need to stand up. We need to stop being lapdogs for our public employees and return to being watchdogs for the veterans we have an obligation to serve.
Right on, brother. Right on.
Into that marvelous black wall with precious names. It's not just a wall to honor those that are on it for what they were. It's a wall to remind each and every one of us what each of them might have been. I go down to that wall to remind myself of the cost of decisions to wage war without objectives. I go to that wall to remind myself that had I done my job better, the 10 men on that wall that served with me would be living today, grandfathers, fathers, who have served this country and made contributions that might have lived up to that saying to be all that they could have been had it not been for my failings. I go to that wall to remember that this malady of PTSD is not something to be afraid of. It's not something to be ashamed of. It's something to be proud of. It is a scar we wear. It's a mark of service. And we have to reach out to these young veterans that are coming home and let them know that they too have a scar to be proud of, a scar not to hide from, but a scar to recognize and seek help for. Because this country, this time, because of us, will in fact honor the debt we have to these young men and women wearing the uniform of the United States of America, serving in a land they could not have found on a map before they went, whose language they do not speak and whose culture they do not understand. And they're there because we asked them to go. And therefore, we, the Vietnam veterans of America, have an obligation to make sure that this country, this time, honors its debt, stands foursquare with the young men and women coming home and their families, and does not let the government turn its back as it did once before.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.
Your word. Yeah.
40 years ago, last week, I got on a plane as a young captain, leading Delta Company 3rd of the 187, the 101st Airborne, to Vietnam.
Airborne.
A year later, I got on a plane with guys, hair long, dusty boots, no medals, baggy clothes. And I said, that's our guys. That's our ladies, that's our women, that's our friends. But when we got back to San Francisco and they announced, all right, we're about to land at Travis, I saw the hair being tucked back under the hats. I saw the medals being put on the chests. The boots were white to have a soft sheen. The shirts were tucked back into the trousers. We were coming home, having done well. And as the doors opened on the plane, through the night air, a voice crackled on the loudspeaker. All right, knock it off. Officers on the left, enlisted on the right, will get you out of here as soon as possible. Not one welcome home. Not one thank you. Not one well done. except for the thank you, the welcome home, and the well done we said to each other. So today as we leave here, may we leave dedicated to the proposition that we will live up to our vow, that we will be worthy of the sacrifice of the men and women on the wall we honor. And may we live up to that one thing that every gathering that we go to ends. May God bless the United States of America. Let us leave and say, may we be worthy of God's blessing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul Dugan.
It is Sunday, and the sun is shining, and this changes the atmosphere for those of us here in Washington, D.C. Since it is early, I decided I would interview some veterans at the wall. I approached 2 members of the Mobile River Rainforest, or Brown Water Navy as it was commonly referred to in Vietnam. This unit is comprised of both U.S. Army and U.S. Navy personnel. Okay. 3,500. Oh, really? It's that many? Yeah, that's great.
Large association, probably the largest individual group of Vietnam veterans there are. I think we have the VVA and of course all the other groups. As far as an individual unit, we're the largest there is.
Great. And can you just tell me your name again so everybody knows who I'm talking to?
It's Roy Mosman. I'm from Athens, Georgia.
All right.
With Charlie Company, 4th 47th, 8th Division, October 67 to October 68.
Oh, that was a tough time.
Yeah.
And you
If you're going to do any interviews, you have to do them up in Area 5.
Okay,
so
great.
Nothing can be done down there.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm Charlie Ardinger.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you need to go up to Area
Okay,
5.
can I just finish this?
You need to go up to Area
Okay,
5.
all right, okay.
Finished up there.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
So just on the other side of those chains over there, up just a little bit onto the knoll.
Okay, thank you. So we're resuming our interview. We were run up by the Park Service. We couldn't be down by the wall anymore. So I was talking with 2 gentlemen from Brownwater Navy, from the 9th Infantry, and Mobile River Rainforest in the Mekong Delta.
Yep.
And
I'm Charlie Ardinger, the treasurer, membership chairman of the organization of the River Rainforest.
Okay.
And I was in country 64, 65 with a cargo handle battalion. 68, 69, I went to River Assault Squadron 15, and I was a boat captain of a tango boat. We took my friends here, boat cruise, and then we'd come back and get them.
Oh, okay.
I'd served over there that year from June to 68 to July of 69.
Wow. Now, where was your base at? Was it in the camp?
Dongtam was
okay.
Maine.
Yeah, Dongtam was a man-made base.
Okay, so it was like a man-made island, wasn't it?
Man-made island. They dredged the sand out of the Mekong Delta on the Song Mito River with big 2 Korean dredges. Pumped the sand to one spot, and bulldozers pushed it and built it up to about probably 3 to 4 feet above sea level. And that's what they put the base on. So, in the rainy weather, you in a lot of water.
Yeah,
and in the
too much sand.
dry weather, you in dust.
Yeah. That's a hell of a way to eat and sleep, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And actually, our units, we rotated. I was 4th and 47th. We would be in Dongtam maybe 2 months, and then we'd rotate onto the ships and replace another unit, like the 3rd of the 60th.
Okay.
And from there, like I said, they would take us out in their tango boats, about a platoon per boat. and take us down the small rivers and canals and drop us off. We would pull a 3 or 4 day mission, and then they'd pick us up. And meantime, they were patrolling the rivers up and down while we.
So you guys were just basically running sweeps then, pretty much?
Yeah, well, we ran search and destroy missions.
Okay.
And,
supported us, but anyway. Anything else you guys want to say before I let you go here?
No, not really. Just
thank you.
Having, it's good to come up here.
Yeah.
It helps to go to the wall.
Yeah,
it's a
this is my first time here,
it,
so
it helps. Helps us, and it helps us to be together.
That's great.
Even though he was Navy and I was Army, and in Vietnam we probably had some differences. But overall, we got along great.
That's great.
Now we're like brothers.
Good.
It's forever. It's just a good feeling to have all these guys around you.
All right.
Feel good.
Well, good. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Sure. Then something occurred that I did not expect. Dustin Blanchard played a crucial role and influence. After he learned of the Park Service interruption, he encouraged me to continue and follow him to the media stand. There we met the public relations communication representative from the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. She briefed some of the other media who were present to film the ceremony. She stated that if any of us wanted to film, we would have to re-register and sign a roster. Dustin registered, then handed me the clipboard. At that moment, I couldn't believe that I would be at the media stand with my little camcorder. This was beyond what had happened on Saturday. If you had told me this explains why I'm here, I would have told you, you're crazy. Yes, it was something I secretly thought would be great to be a part of that experience, and now it was happening. Dustin looked over at me, and he was happy for me. I couldn't thank him enough. He excused himself. He had to get to his camera and other duties ready for the ceremony. I didn't see him after that. I didn't have anything to do for the time being.
All right, hold in there. It's only 5 minutes. It's only 5 minutes. Okay, smile on 3. All right. Somebody count.
I can't get everybody.
Go back up a little bit. Just take
No,
what you can take.
you guys are stubborn. Did you know that?
He joined up.
It's like that guy from the second
Of course, I hope you're not emotionally connected to this guy.
Are we all set?
Okay.
If it's not your camera, keep it.
We had a guy from the second row that
170.
somebody come help me up. I didn't think my knees would lock up.
Thank you. Moving your arm.
All right.
Everybody needs help setting up. There are 10 of us, so everybody kept coming in.
Let them know I'm doing a
Thank you very much.
DVD.
Thought it was just right.
So far, I've done everything great. Opening remarks. And refocus the camera to the media stand area. Then the crowd started with applause. I couldn't see who it was they were cheering for. It was Colin Powell, retired 4-star general.
I'm Janice Nark, Army Nurse Corps, Vietnam, 70 and 71.
Welcome home, sister.
Don't even bother doing the math. I was 2 years old. Every true and great cause needs a champion, a troubadour. And ours appeared in the form of a former grunt who'd been to war, he'd been wounded, he'd seen buddies die. And when he came home, he believed that Vietnam veterans needed something substantive, something permanent, to honor those who died, to honor and comfort those who served, those who waited. And he sang his song loud and clear and persistently to any and all who would listen, and to a whole bunch of people who didn't want to. And that resulted in this incredible memorial. Ladies and gentlemen, he still sings our song because it's not over.
Former U.S. Army nurse Janice Howard begins the unofficial start of the ceremony and introduces Jan Shrugs. He begins the ceremony, and various speakers included a message from Maya Lin, designer of the memorial, by William Bill Murray, CEO and former member of the 173rd Airborne Brigade.
A very special time here, because everyone's going to get a chance to say hoo-yah. If you were in a particular branch of the military, we're going to go basically in alphabetical order. Would everyone here who was in the U.S. Air Force do the hoo-yah thing? Hoo-yah! Okay. United States Army. Was anyone in the Army out there? Next, U.S. Coast Guard. Okay, there. It's a statistical process here. Now, how many people were in the United States Navy? Now, statistically, the number of Marines would be far fewer than any of the other services, but can the Marines collectively give a hoorah, hoorah, whatever you guys do, that would exceed that of the other branches of the military? Ladies and gentlemen, United States Marines! Those are actually very nice. Please stand while the Military District of Washington's Armed Forces Color Guard presents colors and remain standing until the colors are paired. Right, shoulder, move! Up, ready, on, out, forward, move! Here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance are three individuals who truly know the meaning of service, sacrifice. They represent the families of those individuals whose names are engraved on the solemn granite wall behind me. They are the sons and daughters in touch. Chairman Tony Cordero, whose father, Air Force Major William Cordero, is a member on Panel 2 East. Catherine Upchurch, President of the Gold Star Wives of America, whose husband, Marine Corps Second Lieutenant James Lynn Upchurch, is a member of Panel 28 of the memorial, and America's Gold Star Mother, Imogene Cobb. Mother Army Corporal Robert William Cobb, killed in action, remembered on Panel 65 of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, and she was here when we had the ceremonial unveiling of the first panel. Eugene, Kathy, and
Ladies and gentlemen, please remove your hats. Render the proper salute. Those in uniform, please render the proper salute. Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, Liberty and justice for all.
Master Sergeant John Dewey of the United States Army Chorus will now sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets made clear the bombs bursting in air. Oh, say, possess our spangled banner yet wave, o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, the colors will now be retired. Please retire the colors. Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. Father Kieran Madonna is the Catholic chaplain for the Naval District of Washington.
O Lord Almighty, on this 25th anniversary of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, we ask you to remember all of our veterans. There are those who have worn the military uniform and still carry in their heart the spirit of patriotism. There are those who stand tall to salute their flag and their hearts beat with glory and greatness. There are those who have died to protect the dignity and freedom of all people. Let our spirits be proud of them, let our hearts be compassionate, and our minds clear and determined in giving them honor and respect. As we pause to remember our departed brothers and sisters, let us be true to ourselves, both in war and in peace. Let us be courageous protectors and true guardians of freedom. Let this day be a day of commemoration and honor to those who have served, continue to serve, and those who sacrificed their lives in order to give us liberty and our nation's security. Remember them, O Lord, in your mercy, and have compassion on us. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for your prayer, and we thank you for the opportunity to hear so many people and feel so many people praying at the same time.
Of fear. To this question, I believe there is but one answer. It is leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, that great president, called Dwight David Eisenhower, had it exactly right. Leadership. Each generation produces its unique set of leaders for a unique time. Each generation of Americans has been challenged with threats, but no generation of Americans has ever lost faith in each other, in their country, in their values, and therefore have never failed our country. And we're fortunate that as each generation produces these new, unique leaders to lead our nation at an historic, defining time, a moment in history. Just as Eisenhower's administration and time and history and generation
produced not only President Eisenhower, but Bradley, Marshall, dozens of soldier statesmen. So it is with our generation of Vietnam veterans. We have produced our soldier statesmen. And one among us rises today as the preeminent soldier statesman of our time. And as this very unique American who endured so much in his lifetime personally, as did his family, and his wife Alma is with us today. And he rose above that to lead a great nation and help lead the world. He noted to me as we were sitting here, and I have known this great leader and patriot for many years, keep it short, Sergeant. Normally generals don't intimidate me, it's Sergeant Majors. Sergeant Majors scare the hell out of me. Generals, you can take and leave. But we are honored today to have one of our own, have a very special American with us, a friend, someone I have called upon many times for advice and close counsel and friendship. No one I admire more than your friend, General Colin Powell.
Thank you so very much, Senator Hagel, my good friend and fellow veteran, Secretary Kempthorne, distinguished platform guests. I'm honored to be here today on this beautiful day with all of the veterans, families, and citizens who have come to this sacred place, to this sacred wall. All who have come here not only to pay tribute to the Vietnam veterans, but to pay tribute to all those who in the course of our nation's history have stepped forward to serve and sacrifice in the time of need. Some have called the World War II generation the greatest generation, but there has been greatness in every American generation, to include the Vietnam generation and the current generation of GIs serving today in Iraq and Afghanistan. We should be so proud of them. There's magic in this wall that has stood here for 25 years. There's magic in that wall. How could two pieces of granite engraved with names and placed in a depression in the earth come to be the most famous memorial in a city endowed with so many monumental tributes to men of honor, to America's wars? How could this gravestone to those who died in America's most controversial and perhaps most unpopular war come to occupy such a wonderful, remarkable place in America's collective heart? How could it become an altar, a shrine, a temple, a church? Most of the memorials that we see in the mall were built decades after the passing of the man or the end of the conflict. Yet this wall sprung to life just a few years after the Vietnam War ended. How did this wall expand beyond Vietnam and come to encompass the service and sacrifice of all generations? How has it come to touch so deeply people who did not have a loved one who served in Vietnam, did not lose anyone in Vietnam? How has it come to touch young people born long after the wall, or born after this wall was dedicated? The wall came at a time when we desperately needed something to help heal a nation that had been deeply wounded by Vietnam and by other traumatic events in the 1960s and 1970s, at a time when we were besieged by empires behind iron and bamboo curtains and our confidence was shaken, empires that are now gone. In the maelstrom of that period, Vietnam veterans were pushed aside along with the war that they had fought. Often ignored, should those who gave the supreme sacrifice or who are still not fully accounted for be simply forgotten as we moved on? Was their valor any less, or the honor of their service any different from all those who had gone before? One man stood up and said no. And he began a crusade to make sure that didn't happen. Jan Scruggs pledged his life, his honor, and his modest fortune to make sure that those lost in Vietnam would never be forgotten. We owe him another round of applause. Many others stepped forward to help him, and the result is before you. In the design competition that was held, a young architectural student at Yale University, who you just heard from a few moments ago, was inspired to design what is before us. She knew nothing of war, but she was blessed to know the human spirit, and she was blessed to know what the nation needed at that time. To read the description she wrote in her proposal was to bring tears to your eyes in wonderment as to how she could conceive such a perfect execution of a vision. But she did. These two walls come together to form one, with the name of the soldier to die first at the top of the right wall, the east wall. The names flow chronologically down the wall to the right until reaching the earth, to then flow spiritually through the earth and emerge at the bottom left and march upward to the top of the west wall to complete the cycle of life and death. The polished granite had to be black to reflect the images of the living standing in front of the wall and to connect them with the presence of the dead and the missing who will never be forgotten. The angle between the walls was designed so that one wall pointed toward the Lincoln Memorial and the other toward the Washington Monument, but they also represent outstretched arms to all who would come to this place. And the arms said, come closer, see valor, see sacrifice, see what has made this country great. Pray and give thanks. There are no politics here, no policy disagreements, just the silence of sacrifice. To enhance the memorial, the three soldiers statue was added. 3 sweaty, dirty, battle-weary soldiers approaching the wall after a firefight, looking for the names of a lost buddy, or perhaps looking for their own names. And then the Vietnam Women's Memorial was added to honor the women who served. 8 of their names are on the wall. Many were nurses, as you have heard from Edie. And as you heard from her, they weren't involved in occasional firefights. Their war was every day, all day, as they were exposed to the wounded, the dying, and the dead. Nurses who often brought comfort to a young man asking for a mom in the final moments of his life. I'm here, they told him. And finally, an in-memory memorial plaque was added to represent those who died of their wounds after the war was over. Night and day, people visit this place. They take rubbings, they pray, they cry. They rejoice. They leave tokens of remembrance and devotion. Jan is now leading a new effort to expand this experience by creating a memorial education center across the road where we can display photos of the names on the wall, tell the story of their lives, make sure their names never become anonymous to future generations. A center where we can display some of the 100,000 items that have been left at the wall over the past 25 years. Last week, I visited the National Park Service Repository in Landover, Maryland, where these items are carefully and lovingly kept. I walked through rows and rows of boxes containing letters, sentimental items, war souvenirs, whimsical gifts, all paying tribute to these heroes. I saw one item that grabbed my attention, one item that will tell you all you need to know to understand the magic and the power of this wall. It was a cardboard photo frame of the kind kids bring home from school at graduation time. Inside, on the right side of the frame, was a picture of a handsome young man in his prime, dressed in his graduation tuxedo. On the left side of the frame was a letter to his dad from his mom. The frame had been laid in front of panel 10 West, and it was for a soldier whose name is on line 1. And her note read, "Dear Pete, here's Guy's graduation picture. You would be so proud. He's become a fine young man. He's very talented. Guy's written songs, beautiful ones, been in musical productions. He draws and paints. I think I have done a pretty good job of raising him. I have taught him about you, our love, your love for him and your love and commitment to our country. In return, this love has been instilled in him and our values passed on. He's now in the Navy, going to electronics school, and is at the top of his class. It was very hard to let him go, and I pray for his safety. Thank you for your love, and this child, I will always love you, Margaret." This wall of healing, listen, Pete heard. Life goes on, new generations come forward. But we will never forget those generations that went before. So on this day, assembled here in this beautiful place, we say thanks again to these 58,256 Vietnam War heroes. We say thanks to the 29 sets of brothers on the wall, and the 2 fathers and their sons on the wall. We say thanks to the veterans of all generations who have preserved this freedom that we enjoy. And we say thanks to their families. God bless all our veterans, and God bless America. Thank you.
30 gig hard drive in it. I did this about 2 weeks ago. I just decided to go ahead and get it. And
into that same lingo we used
oh yeah,
ago very easily. No, that's not tobacco there. That's stuff.
There we go. Mark Arguello, Pleiku airbase.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ranger.
I'm putting a little video together, so all my contact information's on there.
Alrighty. Not a problem. Keep that in mind.
I got you on here too, by the way.
Mark.
Yes, sir.
I gotta tell you, every one of us, just like you just did, every one of us laps back into that same lingo we used years ago very easily. No, that's not tobacco there. That's stuff.
It has 27 hours. I've recorded nearly 10 hours since Friday.
Really?
Yeah.
32x is quite a zoom too.
Yeah, and it's a Carl Zeiss lens too. It's pretty good.
That's an expensive camera.
No, it's only $500.
You like Panasonic?
Yeah. Mark Arguello?
Geez. I don't have a good video camera.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right.
Endeavor that he's put together, and I think he has hopes of someday seeing it on the History Channel or Discovery Channel or something like that. And I think he's going to see his dream come true. It's really a spectacular piece. So, Mark Arguello, in case any of you haven't met him yet, this is Mark, and this is the gang. Okay.
Thank you again for welcoming me. Thank you. Just real quickly, if it hadn't been for meeting Father Billy, this wouldn't have happened. And also, just like I want to say real quickly too, I want to say thank you again to Jim Chamlin and his wife Becky that night in D.C. And they were responsible for giving me a ride, which helped me meet some of the Marines from the
Just his.
You haven't got this one?
Nope.
Okay, that's that one.
My name's Mark.
Keith there.
Nice to meet you. Here's a card. I don't know if you guys.
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone. Get a hold of you.
All right. Thank you.
Oh yeah. That's going to be a real winner thing. That's a great idea.
Great man.
I'm glad you got the that luck today.
Yeah.
Great. Keep the beer coming. I don't care. I forget what number.